Lance Leipold and staff putting in work in the 2024 recruiting class. KU hauls in one of its best recruiting classes ever and best in the last decade. And I'm going to give you a quick overview of some of the position players that are in this group, and we'll dive into more throughout the offseason.
It was good, y'all. It's your boy JD6 here with my man. Shout out to KC Sports Authority. Make sure y'all go check that podcast out, man.
You heard the man.
And welcome into the KC Sports Authority podcast. Keegan Russell here, just myself today. Just wanted to quickly jump into some of the KU football recruiting class, the 2024 recruiting class, do a quick overview of some of the highlights on this. Don't want to dive in too much because there's way more experts out there than me that could dive in much further into the depth of this class. But just want to give you guys something because this is a very exciting class. A lot of great things to get into on it. KU opens up the national early signing day period with the number 48 ranked overall recruiting class in college football, which is pretty solid. This is one of their top recruiting classes in the last decade. A lot of fun players in this group, headlined by Deshawn Warner, one of the top edge rushers in the high school class. And this is also KU's highest ranked high school prospect in the history of the program. Super excited about him because we beat out other top programs to get him. He's going to be a great addition to this team. Also headlined with Dakyus Brinkley, another edge rusher. These are two of the top edge rushers at their position, two of the top 25 edge rushers in their class, both coming to Kansas. That's fantastic. Other guys like Isaiah Marshall, the top quarterback prospect, number 31 in his position, great multi-dual threat quarterback to come in and be the future of the program, another highly ranked recruit. Austin Alexander, a top cornerback in the group, number 29. This is also one of KU's potentially highest ranked cornerbacks coming out of high school. Another guy to look out to. There's just a lot of names in this. Guys we've been on for a while now, like Jalen Todd, a 6-foot corner that KU fans have probably seen a lot of the last couple of years because he's been one we've been on for several years. A lot of good things in this class. Lance Leipold and coaching staff did a phenomenal job early on here. Great additions. They signed 17 in total on the early signing day period. A lot of good stuff in here. So let's just quickly go through a couple other names. Graydon Grimes, that's a fun addition. He was a tight end prospect that was supposed to go to Baylor, but once his father signed on to be the offensive coordinator here, now he flips his commitment to Kansas. Originally a tight end, but is signing as a defensive lineman now that KU's got a pretty good sized tight end group, but he's going to come over. Another guy I really love in this class, Jonathan Kamara, a linebacker, 6'4", 210, a guy that's played a little bit of the edge, a little bit of linebacker, a ton of athleticism, good size. I think he's going to be a real fun one. Some of the running backs, Red Martell, 5'10", 200-pound running back. He's going to be a lot of fun to add into this group, especially if a guy like Devin Neal does go. Red Martell, a good one there. Another running back, we got Harry Stewart. These are both going to be two guys that are going to be real solid. I think they both kind of bring a little bit of the Highshaw Devin Neal combo that you see there. And, of course, both as freshmen, who knows when we see them. But they're a lot of fun. Carson Brune, a good tight end prospect out of Iowa, and Iowa produces a lot of good tight ends, so maybe he'll be the next great. But Carson Brune, a 6'6", 230-pound tight end, fantastic size, long arms, played in a program that didn't really utilize the tight end as a passing threat too much, but he's got great size. He'll be coming in and be a solid blocker. I'm sure they'll put a little bit more size on him, some weight, and make him a potential tight end threat down the road. Man, this class has me excited. I know they may not be done yet. There's plenty of guys they could still add in the transfer portal. They picked up a big-time commitment, offensive tackle Harrison Utley out of Oklahoma, who grew up watching Oklahoma, finally got an offer from them after he agreed to come to Kansas, but KU is able to maintain that relationship there and keep him. So a good offensive tackle coming here that'll probably slide into the interior. Man, this is a fun class. They've got a couple of transfers they already brought in. I mentioned Devin Dye in a short clip yesterday, safety. They brought over the tight end Deshawn Hanukkah from Iowa State, 6'6", 225 tight end. He'll get in there immediately. Dylan Wudke, another rotational edge rusher they brought in. But this is a fun class. KU's coaches have been putting in some work. Deshawn Warner, being the highlight, or DJ Warner, he's been on several other podcasts across the last couple of weeks here in KU territory. He's been on several radio spots. Just a lot of good stuff in this group. A class that is going to have a lot of potential, a class that's going to have a large impact, I think, here in a couple of years. Highlighted, though, by Warner, Brinkley, Marshall, and Alexander. A couple other, a big offensive tackle they brought in, Carter Lavruski, 6'6", 275 pounds. Again, good size that they'll probably add to that frame. Damani Maxon, another safety prospect. Just as you go up and down this list, it's a lot of quality players at positions of need. So they've got guys at the safety level, corner level, offensive line, defensive line, a couple linebackers. Ja'Cory Stewart's another one, a little bit underrated. He's only a 3-star linebacker, but I like him a lot. 6 foot, 210 pounds, a guy that they'll add some size to. But yeah, KU's been doing some impressive work. Like we said at the start, this is one of their best recruiting classes in the history of the program, honestly, since it's been tracked a little bit differently in the last 15, 20 years. But yeah, Deshawn Warner, the highest ranked high school prospect in the history of the program. That is exciting. He should be the first domino to fall of potential future top classes to come to Kansas. And if we can get a guy like him and he turns out to be something great in this era of NIL, maybe that means KU has the potential to go after some other high-end prospects and can start getting some more 4-stars. And of course, get a couple coveted 5-stars. Don't really want to dive in too much further in this because it's so early on. There's plenty of time to talk about the rest of the class and see who else they add, especially in the transfer portal. A lot of these guys probably won't play early on, depending on what guys KU potentially loses. They are looking at the decisions from Kobe Bryant, so that could open up cornerback need there if Kobe were to leave. You've got questions on the defensive line if someone like Austin Booker were to go pro or to transfer. Devin Neal, of course, if he takes off early for the draft, then you've got Highshaw, but then you got to fill in around him. I think one of the other just prizes of this, though, is Isaiah Marshall. KU's lost a couple of cornerback prospects the last 2 years, late in the class to transfers elsewhere. But Isaiah Marshall comes in, and he's going to have a lot of similarities to what Jalen Daniels can do. He's very athletic. Similar size to Jalen, pretty similar frame there. If Jalen is healthy this next year, then he's going to be a good guy to just learn the number 2, number 3 spot. If Jalen's hurt, maybe he's a guy that gets early playing time. But I think that's going to be a great addition because they'll be able to mold the offense around him because of those similarities with Jalen Daniels. So I think he's fantastic one to look out for. Not our highest ranked quarterback of all time, but at number 31 in his class, that's pretty solid. I think the one that most fans aren't going to know a lot about early on, but one to get excited about is that Austin Alexander. There's been several local KU writers that have said this guy's got potential to be one of the better early on corners in the program. Still plenty to develop. Of course, Kobe Bryant was not tremendous his freshman year, developed a lot the last couple of years, same with Mello Dotson, but Alexander could be a guy that comes in immediately and is further along than some other guys in years past. So a lot of excitement in this recruiting class. Again, we'll kind of dive into it more throughout the off season, bring on a couple more guests that can probably tell you a little bit more detail, that have watched more tape than I have. But a lot of fun names in here. Like I said, the running back group is going to be a good one to watch out for. I think they both could potentially give us the next Devin Neal, Daniel Highshaw rotation in the backfield. A lot of good pieces on the defensive side. I really like the Jalen Todd signing again. He's a very athletic corner. But yeah, KU's recruiting class, number 48 right now. I'm sure that could change as other guys make commitments throughout the country, but that's impressive. That's not anywhere where you'd expect KU to be in years past. So if they can be a top 50 recruiting class, that is the first step in building a tremendous long-term program. And Lance Leipold has already come in, been effective immediately on the field and in the transfer portal. Now it's all about building quality recruiting classes and then keeping guys here. So hopefully this is a good sign of things to come for future KU football recruiting classes. The coaching staff has been tremendous on the road in key states, and not just going and getting these guys, but keeping them from flipping to other schools. So really proud of this coaching staff and the work they're putting in. I think KU fans should be excited about what they're doing. Season ticket, man, as soon as those get up and going, I think everyone needs to hop on season ticket packages as soon as possible, because there's going to be a lot of excitement coming out of KU football in the next couple of years as they continue to build But yeah, the 2024 class off to a fantastic start. We'll still have a lot of questions here over the next few weeks with transfer portal news, guys going in, guys leaving the program, guys making NFL draft decisions. So there's still plenty of movement to be had over the next couple of weeks, which of course, as those happen, we'll dive into more. But that's going to wrap up here. Just want to quickly jump into that for some of you Jayhawk fans. I'm sure there are other podcasts breaking this down more detailed than I am, but just wanted to quickly get out there some of the names and excitement of this class and see what else you could add here in this offseason. So that'll wrap up here. Again, I'm Keegan Russell, your host today. You can find our podcast over on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at KCSA Pod. You can also hit me up on Twitter at Keeganator_11. Would love to get any of your guys' questions about this recruiting class. If you have questions on some of the guys some of the guys on the team, throw them our way. We'd love to answer them on the podcast. After this episode, you will have our KU football preview episode of the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, which is next week. And then we'll have a kind of season wrap-up episode following that. So if you haven't done so yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button here on YouTube if you're watching. If you're listening on Spotify, you can follow the podcast. Like, rate it, give it a 5-star review. Thank you guys again. We hit 250 plus subscribers. We've also now surpassed 40,000 views on YouTube. So grateful for that. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Next up is 300 subscribers by the end of the year. We've got about 11 days to get there. So really hope you guys can help us out there and just share the podcast with a friend. And again, if you're a first-time listener, first-time watcher, thank you so much for catching on here. Go check out the rest of our content. We've got Chiefs, Royals episodes. We've got sports betting coming up this weekend. Tons of KU basketball. So if you're a KU football fan, you haven't checked out the basketball stuff, go do that because I've got a lot of fun stuff there. But again, thank you guys for joining us today. That'll wrap up this one. We'll dive into this class further as we get closer and closer to the off season and prep for spring ball. But until then, guys, rock chalk, and we will catch you in the next episode.